Where's mine at? Where's mine? Send my book back. Hold on. All right, we're ready to get started. Good afternoon. I want to begin by thanking the Governor Stein and your team for choosing the Raleigh Police Department as a location to discuss Senate Bill 257 and what it means for law enforcement officers throughout our great state. We're honored to have you here in our Special Operations Division today, so thank you, Governor. In my 26 years in law enforcement, this is the first state budget that I've seen that's truly made public safety a priority for law enforcement agencies throughout the state of North Carolina. I want to thank the General Assembly, all our state legislators, for dedicating their time in putting this legislation together, and I'm extremely thankful for the governor in signing it into law. Thank you for your commitment to supporting those who serve our communities every single day. Your investment in public safety will have a lasting impact across our great state, Governor. As a department, we have always felt a strong support from our local community and our local city leaders. To see the same level of commitment and support on the state level is nothing but extraordinary and very special to us here at RPD, Governor. So I also want to take a moment to thank our Special Operations Division here. I see Major Garden. I want to thank you for the hard work and support in making sure today's ceremony went off without a hitch. You did a great job, Major, and your team. Governor, I want to thank you for your leadership. I want to thank you for your partnership and your continued commitment to public safety. Your support of law enforcement and the communities that we serve is greatly appreciated. Thank you all. Madam Secretary as well. Mr. Ray, thank you as well. At this time, I'm going to invite our Captain Jason Borneo of the Special Operations Division to share a few personal remarks on the importance of partnership between government and law enforcement. Captain Borneo.
Thank you, Chief. Welcome, Governor. Welcome, Secretary. Welcome, Madam City Manager, to Special Operations Division here in the Raleigh Police Department. So, Governor, on behalf of Chief Boyce and the men and women of the Raleigh Police Department, it is my honor to welcome you to the Special Operations Division. Every day I walk into this building and I have the privilege of working with the finest men and women of this department. And these men and women, these professionals, they rely on the investments to protect our community. The equipment and technology that you saw here today represent more than tools. They reflect our shared commitment to public safety and help ensure that our officers are prepared to serve and protect the communities all across this state. Governor, thank you for your continued support of law enforcement here in Raleigh, across Wake County, and throughout North Carolina. Your leadership as Attorney General, especially with the untested rape kits and your work to eliminate that backlog, has strengthened our investigative capabilities, helped us hold offenders accountable, and protected the most vulnerable amongst us. That commitment is why more than 20,000 law enforcement professionals in this state dedicate themselves to public service. We serve because we have leaders who invest in us, who believe in us, and empower us to do the work that we signed up to do. A career in law enforcement does not come without cost. We go home tired, sometimes injured, often carrying the weight and the burden of what we witnessed, whether it's a fatal crash, whether it's a shooting, or another tragedy that unfolded on our watch. And yet, every day, these men and women around here today report back to work every single day. That burden is made lighter by leaders such as yourself, such as Chief Boyce, Madam City Manager, Madam Secretary, Mr. Ray, by leaders who prioritize public safety and support every officer who wears a badge in this state. Governor Stein has devoted his career to public service from his years as a North Carolina senator to his tenure as Attorney General. He championed public safety and has been a friend of the Raleigh Police Department for years. Throughout his career, he has worked to ensure that every North Carolinian has the opportunity to live in a safer, more prosperous state. On behalf of the Raleigh Police Department and law enforcement professionals across the state, it is my honor to introduce the 76th Governor of the state of North Carolina, Josh Stein.
Good afternoon, everybody. Captain Bornier, thank you for that excellent introduction. I very much appreciate it and am honored by your words. Chief Boyce, thank you for the tour of Raleigh PD's Special Operations Division. They do remarkable stuff to support their patrol officers, all about keeping the people of Raleigh safe. Good to be with City Manager Marshall Adams-David. Thank you, City Manager. And from the state, we have Secretary Leslie Dismukes of the Department of Adult Correction and Ashby Ray from the Department of Public Safety. As I said, I just came from touring the Special Operations Division, meeting with officers from the K-9 team, the SWAT team, others who've chosen a career in law enforcement. They spoke about how law enforcement is a mission. A number of them, it's generational. Their parents were in law enforcement, and for them it was the natural decision. Others were in the military, and they wanted to continue to serve and protect. We all know that law enforcement can be hard, sometimes dangerous, but it is so critical to the community, and it is immensely rewarding work. I'm incredibly grateful for each of these officers for making that choice. We need more public-spirited people to make the choice to serve and protect our communities by joining law enforcement. Since serving as Attorney General, the job I held before Governor, I've been hearing from police chiefs and sheriffs across the state about the challenges they face recruiting and retaining talented people to serve. When you cannot recruit and retain officers, the people of this state are at risk. So we have to do everything in our power to support those who keep us safe. That is why earlier this month, I was proud to sign into law a budget that makes historic investments in public safety. The budget provides the largest pay increases for law enforcement in recent memory. It includes a 16.2% pay increase for SBI and ALE officers, a 15% pay raise for state highway patrol officers, a 13% pay raise for correctional officers who serve with Secretary Dismukes, and a 6.5% pay raise for probation and parole, also with the Department of Adult Corrections. For the first time ever, the state is setting aside $40 million to provide local law enforcement officers a bonus of $1,750. What we want to signal to the officers who are in this facility, to officers in local law enforcement agencies, police departments, sheriff's offices across the state, is that we value you. We appreciate you. We are grateful for what you do to keep us safe. This bipartisan budget shows that when we work together, we can get good things done. The budget represents a big step forward for public safety, but I want to be very clear, we have many more steps to go. Pay is only one part of the equation. That's why we have to continue investing in officers' mental health and residents' behavioral health so that law enforcement can focus on keeping people safe. Too often, officers are put in the position of having to act as a social worker or a case manager. That is why programs like Raleigh Police Department's Acorns unit are so important. These teams pair a police officer with either a mental health or social worker to respond to situations that involve mental health, substance misuse, or homelessness. They can get people connected to the help that they need to address their underlying issue. It frees up officers so that they can focus on fighting crime, and it makes the entire community safer. In my budget proposal, I called for our state to invest further in behavioral health services in this co-responder model, and I'm going to keep championing these investments in the long session next year. I also want to recognize the work that Raleigh Police Department is doing on officer recruitment and retention. This December, it's going to be hosting a lateral training school for experienced officers who want to continue their career here in Raleigh. And for out-of-state officers, they're going to offer a bonus, a $5,000 hiring bonus. It's innovative, it's creative, it's about identifying a problem and coming up with a solution. I'm proud to stand beside you all in these efforts, and I appreciate the General Assembly's partnership in them. In recent months, I have signed into law 2 bills to eliminate the penalty that kept veteran officers from staying on the job or kept retired officers from coming back on the job who wanted to. We should not be pushing out experienced officers who want to continue to serve their communities and keep folks safe. With this budget, we are sending a strong message. We understand how important public safety is, and we value the people who do this hard work. We want more people to choose this noble career and give back to their communities, keep people safe. Thank you so much. At this point, happy to take questions from any of the media who are assembled here today. Yes. Yeah, there is equipment that is going to help. There are body cameras that are going to help to promote transparency and accountability, promote trust between the community and state law enforcement. We've invested in the Viper system, which is the communications network that law enforcement can access so that when there is a major incident and the networks, the cell phone networks are jammed, they can continue to communicate and keep each other safe. There are always more investments in equipment that we need to make, but one, we got to make sure that we're paying our people well, and we have to make sure they have the tools that they need to do their jobs well.
You mentioned the bonus. You know, that's a one-time payment for people on this staff. It still has Raleigh police below neighboring communities when it comes to salary. I mean, how does this affect, you know, residents' safety? We see things like takeovers that happen. We see issues like Ryan Camacho, and you know, that's terrifying to people. How does that impact people's safety when they're struggling to get people to come?
The bonus goes to all local law enforcement agencies, so it does not advantage Raleigh over Holly Springs or Wake Forest. It says to every local law enforcement officer, if you're a deputy or a police officer, we value you. The state of North Carolina appreciates the choice that you made to do a tough but critical job. So it's a signal. To our understanding, it's the first time the state has ever done this. Usually the state government doesn't pay local employees. That's done by the locality, whether it's a city or a county. I know we were talking earlier with the city manager and the chief. Raleigh is committed to making this department well compensated, and they've had substantial raises in the last 2 years. But what I heard from the chief when we talked about this bonus was thank you. Because what we want is for people to understand that their leadership, that their government understands the urgency and importance of their work, and that's what this bonus serves to do.
How will that impact safety in communities like that?
When you don't have enough officers, right now Raleigh has done a very good concerted job to reduce the number of vacancies. They're at about 90 vacancies in a police department of over 800 people. So it's a little more than 10%. Some of those are new positions, but a few years ago, it was substantially higher than that. When you do not have enough officers on the job, it means 2 things. It means, one, that the current officers are really stressed because they're having to run extra shifts, they're having to do extra work, They don't have a teammate right beside them when normally they would. So it adds to the strain of the existing personnel, but it also means that you have to triage calls, and you don't have enough officers to deploy to something that's not a top emergency. And so a member of the community has a legitimate issue, community safety issue, but they may not get a call responded to as quickly because there just aren't enough officers to do that work. So what we want to do as a government, state government, is to make this profession, this noble profession, truly valued, so that when there are people out there deciding when they're leaving high school or leaving college, they can go do anything. They can go work at Amazon. They can go work in a restaurant, or they could choose to serve their community in immensely meaningful work that changes people's lives. And we want as many of those public-spirited people to be able to make this choice without financial sacrifice. And this bonus is just our way of saying thank you. Yeah, we are not trying to be in the position where we're cannibalizing each other's agencies. Raleigh doesn't want to have its entire force come from Wake Forest or Fuquay-Varina or Johnston County. We want to have additive value so that we all have a bigger pool of people who are qualified to do this work. State had failed to invest in public safety officers for much too long. The correctional officers of the Department of Adult Correction, they were 49th lowest starting correctional officer pay in the country. State Highway Patrol, starting pay, 49th lowest in the country. They were so much lower than even the local officers, we were having a real trouble getting people to come work for the state. So it was really important that we in our budget, we signal these are important jobs. So a 13% pay increase for the Department of Adult Corrections, a 15% for the Highway Patrol. I said very thoughtfully, intentionally rather, that this is a big step, but it's not the final step, because we have moved State Highway Patrol from 49th lowest to 41st lowest. If I said to the people of North Carolina, are you satisfied with having the 41st lowest paid troopers, I don't think anyone would say yes, because we're not the 41st poorest state in the country. We should be signaling through our compensation how much we value that profession, because they have choices, and they have over 300 vacancies in the State Highway Patrol. Do you know, Leslie, what you all have risen to in correctional officer pay with this latest increase?
Still bottom 10, 47.
So, Department of Adult Corrections has gone from 49th to 47th. That's an important step forward, because we're letting these folks know who are doing the job today, we understand we have not paid you adequately. But what's important for the legislature to understand is the job is not done. We have more work to do, because this work is so important. The most fundamental thing government does is to keep people safe. Government does that work through our police, through our deputies, through our correctional officers, through our probation and parole, through our ALE, through our troopers. We need people to do these jobs. It's a competitive economy. We have to pay people. It is time that we put our money where our mouth is. We'll go here. We'll give you two. Sorry. What state employees do who are not law enforcement is also incredibly important to the well-being of the people of North Carolina. Our DOT workers, our park rangers, our HHS employees who work in our state hospitals. These people do incredibly important work, and they're getting a 3% pay increase in the bonus, but that's over a 2-year period, because remember, the General Assembly did not pass a budget last year. So what really turns out to be about a 1.5% per year over the last 2 years, that is not even keeping up with inflation. State employees' health expenditures, costs have gone up. We have got to do better by our state employees, which is why I have cautioned the General Assembly from going forward with their pre-programmed tax cuts to corporate shareholders, most of whom who are not even North Carolinians. Understand, they're giving $2 billion of public resources to wealthy people who are not North Carolinians, instead of adequately paying our state employees. That is the wrong choice to make. I'm going to continue to make that case with the General Assembly. Is it October 1?
The bonus is October 1, we should see the raises in August,
On the payment for the pay increases, August 1, we hope to see that in everybody's paycheck. The bonuses are going to be October 1, and I assume that's the same with the city, October 1. So they at least know it's coming. Even if it's not in their bank account yet, they know it's coming. Thank you all for being here.